Hi, sixth graders. We are going to be continuing learning about multiplication and division of integers. And by learning about how to divide integers today, we're going to add on or grow from what we learned in our last lesson around groups of with multiplication. So we're going to be looking at groups of things, and we know that this, when we multiplied, it was like repeated addition. We're going to be looking at like repeated subtraction or breaking apart of those groups. So dividing integers is essentially like splitting things up into equal groups. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So our first problem that we have is, well, our essential question is, how do we divide integers? I'm going to start with -12 on my board. So with division, we've already, remember division is the opposite of multiplication. So it's like we've already multiplied, and this is our outcome. So our outcome here is -12, and we need to split it into 6 equal groups. So how many chips would be in 6 equal groups? So I have 12 red chips because they're negative. So 12 red chips because I started with negative. And I need to divide it into 6 equal groups. So I'm going to split this up into 6 equal groups. Here's a group, here's a group, here's a group, and a group, and a group. So when these are all split up, I'm going to move some of these out. I actually have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Here's my 6 equal groups, and within those equal groups, I have 2. So what's in each group is 2, but it's not just any 2, it's a -2 because I have -2, they're red chips in each group. So if I were to actually draw this out for you, I had 6 equal groups. I had 12 chips, and then I split my 12 chips into equal groups, and within those groups I have -2 because each one is red. So I split it into equal groups of 2. So a question I could ask myself is, what's in each group? Well, -2 is in each group. Or how many groups of six can I split -12 into? Okay, so that's another one. Okay. So, or how many groups of 6 can I make, or how many groups, no. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. All right, so in the next problem, I have 6 divided into -2. And I want to know, what does that equal? So I'm going to start out with 6 positives. And I need to divide it into equal groups of -2. So I'm going to start with 6 chips. Here's my 6 chips. And I need to split it into equal groups of -2. Well, I don't have any negatives on my board right now. So I need to create the possibility of having negatives to even split this into. So I'm going to do this by creating 0 pairs. And then I'm going to remove the positives so that I can split this into groups. So I have groups of -2. So here's a group of -2, here's a group of -2, and here's a group of -2. So really, if I split this up, I have 1 group, 2 groups, and 3 groups of -2. So this means that and they're red inside, so I split it into -3. I could also look at this and say, how many groups how many equal groups can I split 6 into if I did it into 2 groups? Or if I were to remove 2 groups? Well, if I remove 2 groups, within each group is 3 negatives. So you can look at this either way. Either way, you end up with -3. So if I ask, I have 6, let's show it to you in positives. Here's my +6, and I need to split it into 2 groups of negatives. Well, I don't have any negatives to split it into, so I'm going to create the possibility, and now I can split my negatives into 2 equal groups, and I have, these go away, so positives are gone, I have -3 in each group. Okay, so the question that you could ask yourself is, if I remove, or if I split into two groups of negatives, how many in each group? Again, I can't split negatives, or I can't create negative groups unless I make the possibility, and I make that possibility by adding on the 0 pairs. So once I added on the 0 pairs, I could then look at just the negatives, and that's how I was able to get -3. Okay, our next problem that we are looking at is -8. So I have -8, and I need to divide it by -4, and I want to know, what do I get? So I have -8 chips, and I want to split it and see how many groups of -4 can I make. So same thing up here, how many groups of -2 can I make? You can ask yourself either question. Maybe I should draw that real quick. Let's draw that. So how many groups of -2 could I have made? Because we showed that with the chips. Well, we made 3 groups of -2 up here. So we could have also asked, so here's one question. And another question, how many groups of -2 from +6? I could make 3 groups of negatives. Okay, so either question you can ask yourself, whichever one makes sense inside your head. Okay, so this one, I had 8 chips. Well, let's just go like this. Okay, so I have 8 chips, and I want to know how many groups of -4 can I make. So I had -8 chips on my board. How many groups of -4 can I make? Well, here's a group of -4, and here's a group of -4. So I can make 2 groups of -4, and they're negative chips in each one. So I'm making -4, or 2 groups of negatives. So my answer is -2. I started, nope. Yeah, 2 positive groups. Oops. Oh my goodness, missing wonder. So this is a positive because I made a group here and I made a group here. So I made 2 groups. It's a positive. Oh my goodness. I had -8 and I needed to split my 4s. I made 2 positive groups. I'm not removing anything like up in number 2 I removed. So again, if I had -8 and I wanted to make groups of -4, how many groups of -4 am I making? Here's a group and here's a group. I made 2 groups of -4. So the 2 would be positive because it's 2 positive groups. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and color this out. So I had -8 chips, and I want to know, the question I'm asking myself is, how many groups of -4 am I making? How many groups of -4 do I make? And I make 2 positive groups. Here's a positive group and here's a positive group. Okay, so how many groups of -2 can I make from +6? Or if I split -2 into 2 groups of negatives, I'm making 2 groups of -3 up above. Okay, let's go ahead and do a try it. So it follows the exact same rules with multiplication. So a negative and a negative makes a positive. If I were to reverse this, right, I need to remove 2 groups of -3. If I remove 2 groups of -3, I'm left with +6. If I add groups of -2 until I get to 12, I still have -12 because I've added on those chips, or I'm repeatedly subtracting. Here, how many groups of -4 can I make to get 8? Well, I had to make 2. Or how many groups of -4 do I have to remove to get -8? Well, I had to remove 2. Okay, our try it for today. The try-its for today. Number 1 is -15 divided by 5. We want to know what that one equals. And number 2, -20 divided by -10. And what does that equal? All right, so number 1, go ahead and hit pause right now so you don't hear me solving these problems for you. Okay, so I had -15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, how many groups of 5 can I make from -15? How many groups of 5 can I, or how many times can I split this into 5 groups? So I need to split this into 5 groups, and then I need to know what's in each group. So here's 5 groups, so 15 divided into 5 groups is equal to what? 15 divided into 5 groups is equal to -3 in each group. All right, and then the next problem I have -20 and it needs to be divided into -10. So how many groups of -10 am I going to have? So here's my -20. Okay, and I need to split -20 into groups of -10. My video quit recording. So if I split this into groups of -10, I have one group of -10 here and another group of -10 here for 2 equal groups. All right, 6th graders, now I want you to go ahead and answer your essential question. How do we divide integers? And then put your rating out to the side in the box. And if you have any questions, come on back to the Google Meet and ask for help. If not, you may do your practice work. As always, make it a great day the Cougar way.